Okay, here we are, everyone. Welcome back. We are episode 6 of the AVID Investor Podcast with me, your host, Josh Adamek. And today we're going to talk about ROI. What's the ROI? What is ROI? In basic terms, ROI stands for return on investment. So most commonly used in finances and calculating a return, a monetary return, ROI stands for, again, return on investment. It's a calculation of what you put in versus what you get in return. So what I do with these podcasts is I try to start, with what I'm going to talk about. I start with the absolute basics, with the intentions that, a new investor, or somebody that's early on in their career can kind of grasp what we're talking about. So my hope, my ambition is that maybe one day my kids are listening to these podcasts when they get a little bit older and they start to understand what the heck dad does for a living. So like I said, I want to start with the basics and then we grow from there. So, we have, again, maybe one day my kids will listen to these. Maybe the kids that are involved in our youth program will start listening to these episodes. Or, if you're just early on in your career, the goal is that, the information that I'm providing is beneficial to you, as well as, beneficial to those that are, a little bit more advanced in their investing or business careers. So again, let's talk about ROI. Basic terms: what you get in, what you put in versus what you get in return. Most commonly used in finances to calculate, a dollar on your return. So, for example, ROI. If you invest, $100,000 into something, whatever that is, whether it's real estate, some other form of investment. If you invest $100,000 and you get a 10%, or I'm sorry, if you earn $10,000 off of that $100,000 investment annually, that equates to 10% ROI, 10% return on investment. It's basic math. So on a different calculation, if you invest $100,000, you make $5,000 a year. That's a 5% ROI, annual ROI. So it's return on investment. What you put in versus what you get out. Basic math, but it's how people use it's the formula that people look at, both to understand how much they're making on an investment and also put a valuation on that investment. In the commercial world, you use cap rates. A cap rate is a calculation of the net operating income of an investment that is comes from the ROI, the return on investment. So, but we can get into that in another episode. Didn't want to dive too much into cap rates today. But again, ROI, what you put in, what you get out, that's your ROI. Me personally, I look at ROI pretty much in everything I do in life. What do I have to put in, and what's going to come out in return? Not necessarily what do I get in return, but what is created in return. So ROI can, you can invest money, you can invest time, you can invest resources, and from that you create something that is produced from the investment of your time, your money, your resources, and what is created. I look at it as the ROI, the return on investment. I invested my time. What was the result of that time? I invested my money. What was the result of that investment? I invest resources. What is the result of the investment? What's the ROI? Again, I look at it in pretty much everything that I do in life. Again, me personally, and a lot of this is my opinions. Take it or leave it. It is what it is, but it's my opinions, my beliefs. So my biggest thing right now, in my life, in my personal life, that I look at ROI is in my children. So I invest time with my children. I invest resources with my children. I invest money with my children. What's the ROI? The hope that the ROI is that the return on investment, the return on that time, the return on the money, the return on those resources, the hope is that the return on investment is that we, obviously, my wife and I, we raise, good human beings. So, they it goes start to go down that path that, when you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, a business owner, there's no off switch. There's never an off switch. There's not a 9 to 5 clock. You don't start at 9 o'clock and then go home and all your responsibilities end. When you're a business owner, you're always thinking, if you're a successful business owner, you're always thinking growth. You're always thinking opportunity. You always want to do more. You always want to do more, but it comes down to the balance. And me, it's a very delicate balance right now versus, time spent in my business and then, the family life. As I said, my biggest investment right now is in my family and in my children, trying to create that ROI. I have many, many friends that are business owners, that are successful business owners. And, I talk with a lot of people, I know a lot of people, and never once have I heard someone say, man, I wish I would have spent less time with my kids. So it's actually quite the opposite. When you're a business owner, when you're an entrepreneur, as I said, that time clock never shuts off. It's so easy to go in early in the morning, to go work late at night, to burn through the weekends. But, for me, it's a balance. It's a balance. I want to make sure that I'm working on my business, that we're growing that business, that things are moving. But I also want to make sure that I carve out and I have enough time, spent with my family and with my children, because that, as I said, that right now is the most important investment that I have to focus on in my life is spending time, spending some resources, putting resources, giving my kids opportunity, and creating that ROI. So, as I said, ROI is the way I look at it is pretty much everything in life. What's the ROI? Whether it's your family, your personal finances, your health, whatever it is, look at it. If I spend this time, if I spend this money, if I spend these resources, what's my ROI? When we go back to finances, it's basic cash in. You put cash in, you get a return. That's your ROI. There's ways to adjust that ROI, to increase that ROI through leverage. So, if you're looking at, again, a real estate investment, and I talk a lot about real estate because that's what I do. If you're looking at a real estate investment, there's ways to leverage that ROI with traditional bank financing, with partnerships, with equity and debt. But again, it's a calculation of what you put in versus what you get out. So early on, I talked about that $100,000 investment. Let's just say that $100,000 investment is a single family home, costs $100,000. You can buy that house cash, $100,000. It creates $10,000 net income. That's a 10% ROI. Well, let's say you leverage that investment and you put 10% down, $10,000. You leverage the other 90,000. Yes, there's debt service and taxes, insurance, and there's overhead. There's expenses with many investments. But let's say you invested $10,000 and there was a single family home. You created $200 a month cash flow after all your expenses. That's $200 a month, $2,400 a year. Now, because you leveraged that investment, that $10,000 investment created $2,400 a year. That's a 24% return on investment, ROI. So, depending on who you talk to, who you get your advice from, there's different strategies, there's different techniques. Obviously, the use of leverage, the use of responsible leverage is very common in real estate. Actually, the use of irresponsible leverage is common in real estate as well. But that's not what I do. That's not what I talk about. That's not what I promote. With my business, we focus on safety and security. So, we tend to do a cash heavy model with very little to no leverage. But, there are folks out there that want to leverage and use traditional bank financing to grow their portfolio, or maybe they have limited resources when it comes to cash to invest in their in their portfolio. So the use of leverage allows them to grow a bigger portfolio with less cash infusion. So again, that's ROI, return on investment, what you put in and versus what you get out. But if we look at a different form of ROI, as I said, it should. I look at ROI in everything that I do. What's what I put in, and then what we get in return. Just anything that you do in life, think about it. What's the ROI? So, for example, you want to sleep in on the weekends. What's the ROI? What did you get out of it? What did you accomplish? Yeah, maybe you got a little rest, maybe you feel a little bit better, but what did you do? Now, on the flip side, if you stick to your routine, your regimen, you get up early on the weekends. Me personally, I still get up. I get up, 4:30, 5 o'clock every day. Why? Because, my kids on the weekend, when I'm home on the weekends, my kids typically sleep till 7:30. So if I get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, I got an extra 2.5 hours to get things done. And the way I look at that is ROI. What can I accomplish in that 2.5 hours that's going to get me further ahead in my business or help me to accomplish things, around the house? So I got a solid couple of hours in the morning on the weekends before the kids get up. I might, read a book. I might, do something around the house. I might, get caught up on some emails or some business or do something related to my business. Well, what's the ROI of that? The return on investment is I invested an extra 2.5 hours in something that's going to get me further ahead. Well, that's not necessarily, you might not be able to calculate or equate a financial, like what's the return, what's the percentage of return on investment. But the fact of the matter is I invested time rather than sleep in it. I invested time. I got up early. I got things done. And the return on investment was it got me further ahead. It got things accomplished. I invested in myself. I read a book. I got caught up on some emails that when I go back to the office on Monday morning, I'm not going to have to deal with an inbox full of things. I got some stuff out of the way. I got some things accomplished around the house. So then again, that extra time that I spent in the morning allows me to spend time with my kids and my family when they get up and get going. So again, that goes back to my earlier point where my most important investment right now is in my children, time, resources. Of course, there's some money, but it's more so spending time with them and giving them opportunities, taking them places, doing them different things, exposing them to different things. And to me, there's no way to calculate that return. Like there's no percentage on that. It's just, putting that time in, putting that work in, putting that effort in. And I just know that down the line, I'm going to look back and I'm not going to be sorry for it. So, another way to look at ROI is, your personal health. When you make the decision, you make the choice to maybe go out to dinner, you eat like crap, you have some drinks, you have a good time. Well, what's the return on investment? The return it's a negative return because you ate the wrong food, you drank too much. Well, that's a negative return on investment because now you feel like crap. You're going to feel like crap the next day. I choose not to take part in that stuff. So, return on investment is calculated both ways. Now, on the flip side, if you're looking at, return on investment, if you're going to invest in yourself, look at your personal health. Get up if you choose, if this is your style. Not everybody's into this, but you get up early, you go to the gym, or you stay late. You stay up late, you go to the gym, get your workout in. What's the return on investment? Well, the return on investment in your personal health is, one, you're going to feel better. Two, you're going to hopefully live longer. You're going to feel better. You're going to have a better quality of life. So the return on investment is you spend that time taking care of yourself, your health, eating well, exercising, that the return on investment, again, there's no way to calculate that in percentages, but the return is you put the time, effort, and energy in, and the result is you feel better, maybe you live longer, and you have a better quality of life. So, again, I look at everything that I do as return on investment. Another way to look at return on investment is, everybody knows Gary Vee. Gary Vee's all over the internet. Yes, I reference a lot of people in this podcast. I give credit and shout outs where I feel credit is due. So Gary Vee, a marketing and branding genius. He's grown many businesses. He's straight to the point, straight shooter type of guy. I really like the content that he creates and the message that he puts out. Gary Vee threw it out there one time, and his point was, or his message was, what's the ROI on not giving up? And drop the F-bomb. I try to keep my stuff clean, but what's the ROI on not giving a crap? So if you think about that, if you dive into it, a lot of people get caught up in caring too much what people think. They're gonna have the nice clothes, the fancy clothes, the cars, the big houses, the whatever. They're always in spend mode. And we talked about that in previous episodes. My thoughts and my beliefs on that. But what's the ROI on not giving a crap? Not giving a crap what people think. Not giving a crap. Trying to prove yourself or trying to pretend to be somebody you're not. What's the return on investment? Well, return on investment obviously is, you save a lot of money, you save a lot of time because you don't care what people think. The return on investment, again, that can't be calculated in percentage basis, but the return is, it's like, I don't really care. It is what it is. I don't need to have those fancy clothes. I don't need to have the car that, the biggest, baddest car that came out. I don't need to have, the big watches or the real expensive shoes, because what's the return on investment? The return on investment a lot of times is you're trying to pretend to be somebody you're not, or you're spending money that you don't have to try to impress people that you don't like. So the return on investment, if you look at it in everything that you do, it's just amazing how you can change your thinking, change your thought process, and change your spending habits drastically. So again, return on investment, everything that I do, I look back, I calculate return on investment. I look at it, from a business standpoint, from a personal standpoint, from a family standpoint, and then, from on my personal finances, of course. What's the return on investment? If I buy this product, if I buy this, whatever it may be, if I buy this car, if I buy, this gadget or whatever, what's my return on investment? Is it something that I really need? Is it something that's going to make my life better? Is it something that's going to make my life easier? Is it something that's going to benefit my family, my kids? What's that return on investment? So, again, I look at that. I look at return on investment in everything that I do. So, right now, I'm in the midst of remodeling a new home for my family to move into, and it's a big expense. It's a full remodel, and there's a lot of stuff going into the home. Everything needs done. It's full interior remodel, and I start to think of return on investment. Now, your personal home is not going to generate any income, but I look at if I put this into the home, what's the return on investment? Of course, some people tend to get caught up in, it's like, oh, we're doing it. Let's just do it all. Let's just get that done. Let's just do that, that full blown custom kitchen. Let's do the full automation, the full security. And don't get me wrong, I am doing a lot of those features with the remodel, but I tend to look at everything that I'm putting into the home and, okay, if I put this in, what's the return on investment? Is this going to last longer? Is this going to make our standard of living better? Is it going to make the quality of the home better? Is it going to increase the value of the home over time? Or is it something that's like, yeah, it's just cool and flashy and I like it and I want to put it in, and it's going to be a maintenance nightmare over time, or it's going to cost me more time and aggravation over time. So, I look at, most any expense, anything that we do as return on investment. So again, just to recap, return on investment is what you put in versus what you get out. Most commonly used in business, in dollars and percentages and financial return. But my personal opinion, my personal belief is that we look at return on investment in everything that we do in life, from finances to time spent, resources spent, both on a business level and a personal level. So again, that's my opinion. That's my message on return on investment. And that's all we have for today. So thank you and have a great day.